Many of us have felt the urge to leave the modern world behind for a simpler life. But total off-grid self-sufficiency often results in profound physical exhaustion. Attempting to grow every meal and maintain every independent system is a relentless, manual, full-time job. Hidden deep in the Nordic forest is a unique structure that offers a completely different perspective on that struggle. This is a traditional Swedish earth cabin, or backstuga, nearly swallowed by the surrounding landscape. This is a 19th century survival shelter. It was built out of necessity by laborers who dug their homes by hand straight into a network of ancient glacial boulders. Understanding the physical, offline systems of an earth house reveals how historical survival mechanisms actually worked. These structures provide a specific mechanical blueprint for finding quiet in a high-speed world. Before we can explore the philosophy of living with nature, we have to look at the brutal, practical architecture that made staying alive possible in this environment. This is the reality of bare-ground living in the 1800s. The poorest classes were pushed onto hostile, rocky terrain, useless for traditional farming. Here, every square foot of land was a struggle against the stone. Without the means to build large, insulated timber houses, families chose to dig their homes downward into the soil. This move was a calculated effort to escape the lethal reach of the Nordic winter. This cross-section shows thermal earth sheltering mechanics. Dense soil acts as a shield against freezing winds, while the dugout space captures geothermal heat radiating from the ground. Builders applied this logic to separate underground cellars, maintaining stable temperature zones for food storage throughout the year. The backstuga succeeded by leveraging the Earth's physical mass as a thermal asset rather than attempting to fight the freezing air with thin wooden walls. The interior was cramped and highly functional. Within this single room, multi-generational families, often with a dozen children, cooked, slept, and worked through the long winters. The technological heart of the room is the traditional Swedish tiled stove. It replaced drafty, open-flame fireplaces common in wealthier homes with a more efficient, enclosed design. This stove acts as a thermal battery. The internal clay and ceramic tiles absorb the heat of a single short fire and release that warmth into the cabin slowly over the next 26 hours. Sustenance relied on similar long-term efficiency. Instead of daily baking, families used dried sourdough starter. These dry flakes provided a portable, long-lasting food supply that could be reactivated with a small amount of water whenever needed. Every system inside the backstuga prioritized long-term energy storage and resilience over immediate, fast output. On the exterior, the house integrates directly with the landscape. Builders used immovable glacial boulders as load-bearing foundations, letting the weight of the stone provide structural stability that timber couldn't match. Maintenance relied on the surrounding woods. Fallen timber was milled for furniture, and thick layers of house moss was harvested from the forest floor to create a breathable, water-resistant roof. Swedish folklore describes these mossy boulders as trolls, creatures that visually hide within the nature of the woods. These stories served as psychological reminders for the community to navigate the forest with respect and caution. By treating the forest as an animate, inhabited space, the inhabitants maintained a sustainable, low-impact presence on the land out of necessity. Today, a house that once symbolized extreme poverty has become a sought-after psychological sanctuary. In a world of digital noise, these cabins offer a rare environment where sensory input is limited to the fire and the trees. This connection is protected by allemansrätt, the Swedish right to roam. It is a cultural and legal belief that nature belongs to everyone and cannot be fully claimed as private property. This shared responsibility leads to the physical tending of the woods. Residents clear deadwood to create sunlit, open spaces known as forest cathedrals, designed for quiet contemplation. Many visitors practice tactile habits to connect with this space, such as walking barefoot to feel the temperature and texture of the moss, physically removing the barriers between themselves and the ground. Simplicity in the modern era is the intentional curation of these spaces. It is the choice to step into an environment where human needs are aligned with the physical limits of the landscape. The earth house functions as a physical loop. The stone captures the fire's heat, the soil protects the inhabitants from the wind, and the living moss keeps out the rain. By aligning survival needs so closely with the forest floor, the distinction between the household and the woods effectively disappears. At this scale, the human and the habitat become a single functioning system.